Hey. So the person I'm having the important conversation with for this week and next week is Trevor Mimano, a personal security expert who is available for you because we can't talk about everything here, but also somebody I feel that from the moment I encountered him and heard him speak, I said, this is somebody I have got to make sure you're introduced to. We're talking about the ABCs of security, not just what we teach our children, but what we need to practice. And now for B, boundaries. That thing Kenyans hate.
Well, boundaries is really the second step in this framework. And boundaries, when it comes to children specifically, is really having them practice the skill set of assertiveness, right? So your children need to know that it's okay for them to establish their boundaries and to defend them.
Yes.
And the way they do that is by learning to be assertive, by practicing that skill. And the way that it's most easily demonstrated, for example, with my own child is, I just want her to say what she feels out loud. That's it. Just say what you're feeling, say what you're thinking out loud.
Yeah.
Don't keep it to yourself.
Yes.
And there's 3 ways of actually teaching your children how to do this, how to create boundaries. And the first is you need to let them know that it's okay for them to be assertive and strong. Right? There's nothing wrong with it. I actually want you to be strong. I want you to be assertive.
Incidentally, that does not mean they're rude.
Exactly.
And there's people's like, but she'll refuse to say hello to so-and-so.
Not at all. Not at all. Because if you're a loving, mature, responsible parent, you will teach her the distinctions between aggression and assertiveness. You'll teach her the distinctions between what strength looks like and what anger is. You'll teach her the distinctions between what boldness is and what bullying is.
And what being a brat is.
Exactly. Because your children, again, will model you.
Thank
you. So if
you.
you're the example, then that's what they'll follow. And this is why it's important for me that Lani hangs around strong, smart, successful women and men, because then gives her a framework. It gives her a direct point of reference as to how to conduct herself and live her life. So the first part is it's okay for her to be strong. It's okay for her to be assertive. The second part is it's all right for her to say no to people, especially adults. Whether it's a stranger or a relative, doesn't matter. If people are being inappropriate with you, it's okay for you to say no, I don't want it or I don't trust it. Right? Leave me alone. And this is important because as a parent, you need to teach your child what's appropriate and what's not. So when my little girl was about 1.5 years old, we started to teach her what appropriate touching is and what inappropriate touching is.
Yes.
So we have these zones, swimsuit zones, right? So if she wears a bikini,
it's called don't touch. Don't
covered
touch.
with your bikini, don't touch it.
Don't touch.
No one's allowed to touch you there.
Yes.
Right? This is only you. This is only you who can touch you there.
Yeah.
So even when she's having a bath or she's out in public, no one is allowed to touch you there. She knows that. So just because a teacher or an uncle or some CDO comes up and touches her inappropriately, because it's an adult, it doesn't mean that she'll let it happen. No. So she can say no.
Incidentally, and I really want to support what you're saying. I'm very blessed that the kindergarten my daughter went to, God bless Mrs. Ali from MLC, because she started teaching that very early and insisting as parents we do.
Yes.
But also on the back of that is teaching them how to dress themselves early and bath early. So I had a mission by the time she was 5. I need you to learn how to do this yourself, because these are no-go zones.
You're giving her agency to be responsible for herself.
For her body.
Exactly.
Yes.
And as long as she knows that if someone does something inappropriate and she can say no to it, it's important that your kids also know that niceness does not equal goodness. Just because someone is nice to you does not mean that they're good people.
Yes.
Right? Just because someone is charming doesn't mean that they're good people.
No.
And in our house, we don't believe in blind obedience. Just because someone is an adult or an authority figure doesn't mean you cannot question them.
That's a new one for us Africans, as we like to say.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Boundaries. If something feels off, say that you're not comfortable with it. Articulate it out loud. And the final part of this is teaching your children the mechanics of actually how to be assertive. So it's a skill set, which means you have to teach your child how to hold their head up high, how to look people in the eye, how to shake people's hands, how when they're upset, this is what you do to manage it and navigate it. And I'll be honest with you, Vivian, my wife, is far better at this stuff than I am.
Okay.
Because little girls and little boys, they get into fights, things happen in the playground, and every once in a while, Lani will come back and she's upset. But after she's upset, her mother will then coach her on, this is what you do. So put your head up high, wipe your tears, put your hand on your hip, and this is what you say and this is what you do. And she'll go back into the same situation that previously had disempowered her and made her upset. And she will practice these physical mechanics and be successful at it. So we're really giving her a skill that doesn't matter what happens, there's these things that you can do to make sure that you are more assertive and that people learn to respect your space.
And on boundaries, and I now need to speak to the adults and the rest of us, you cannot ask your teenage daughter, your 20-year-old daughter, your 30-year-old female on the streets of Nairobi, of Accra, of Lagos today to be assertive and create boundaries if they've never known how to, because you wouldn't let them do it when they were 5.
Yes.
Because you're like, go hug Uncle so-and-so and go kiss Auntie so-and-so. And why aren't you be nice to... If you don't teach your daughters early to be able to own their bodies, it doesn't matter how many conversations we have with our young men about consent. Until a girl learns that she must consent, she won't even know what it looks like when she's faced with it. So, you know, I know that there are those of you who are saying, are we going to live in a world where we constantly have to remind girls how not to be attacked? Actually, until the conversation is as big on the other side, reminding you that women come with boundaries and you can see them, then I'm sorry. This is what we have to do.
And this is the world we live in. If you're not your own first line of protection, no one else is coming to save you. And that's just the truth of it. If you don't protect yourself, no one's coming to help you. No one's coming to save you. So the quicker you start to teach your daughters this, just the more adept and the more proficient they will be as they grow up to become young women of their own out in the world.
You are your own first line of protection. We've done A, we've done B for boundaries, and we're about to do C. So I know you're thinking, oh my God, Caroline, information overload. Nabado, the guy from Kibera, has got the skills. His name is Trevor Mimano. Find him.